A Bay Area scientist who has spent 44 years recording nature sounds made a startling discovery. His archives show how a great silence is spreading over the natural world. CBS 5 Chief Meteorologist Paul Diano took a listen.
Sugarloaf Ridge in the Mayacamas Mountains, nestled between Sonoma and Napa Valleys. Not a single soul in sight. But for one man, the peace and quiet is deafening.
It's all changed now, and it's changing here.
What you're about to hear is the sound of a damaged habitat. Listen to an audio recording at Sugarloaf in April 2000. Now listen to a second recording, but 11 years later.
I feel a little bit saddened and bereft because so much of this stuff is gone now.
Dr. Bernie Krause has spent nearly half a century recording nature. In his archive, he's collected roughly 5,000 hours of sound from some of the most pristine locations in the world.
The first recordings were made that I did were made in Muir Woods, and it changed my life. It was an epiphany.
Now a problem. Half his archive is from habitats that are now either silent or no longer wild.
All I know is what I see and what I record. I've got the data, I can show the changes, and this is what's happening.
As for why, you don't really have to go very far to see or hear it. Humans are making a lot more noise, and we're silencing nature.
Reads just like a musical score.
On a graphic display called a spectrogram, using a recording from Indonesia, Krause shows how wild animals cooperate and share space.
But see how they all stay out of each other's way? Here are the mammals and the birds up here, insects, frogs.
Krause says too much noise competes with that sound and throws off the animals. So too does pollution, mining, global warming, and deforestation. Even a little bit of logging creates a problem. Here's the spectrogram of an old-growth forest near Truckee, recorded in 1988. Here's the same forest 1 year later after selective logging. Krause believes we can all benefit if we are more quiet and attentive to the natural sounds around us.
Is this what you want to leave as your legacy for your kids and your grandchildren in the world that you leave behind?
Paul Diano, CBS 5.
Well, running is one of the most popular ways to stay in shape, but it turns out that most of us are doing it all wrong and getting hurt because of that. So how should we be running? CBS 5's Dr. Kim Mulvihill says, think eggs.
We run for all kinds of reasons.
I'm getting up there in age, so it helps keep me young.
In all sorts of ways.
Slow and steady.
But could it be we're running wrong?
Says who?
Says our aching knees, hips, legs, and backs.
A very large percentage of runners every year get injured.
Specifically, 56% of recreational runners and as many as 90% of runners training for a marathon. Half these injuries involve the knee.
The researchers have come up with a strategy to cut the risk. The idea? Run like you're running on eggshells. Take lighter, quicker steps.
In other words, your right foot should hit the ground 80 to 90 times a minute, shortening your stride.
By increasing the number of steps you take during running, that intuitively decreases the stride length, and then it greatly reduces those impact forces that are generated.
At UCSF's Human Performance Center, using tiny markers and specialized cameras, scientists quantify in 3D how a runner moves.
We can basically reconstruct the skeleton.
These two skeletons tell the story. On the top, a runner with a long stride who takes fewer steps.
And you can see that the foot is far extended in front of their pelvis.
On the bottom, a runner taking more steps, but with each step beginning directly under the body.
That there's a much shorter stride length, they're not reaching nearly as much.
The difference, the runner with the long stride creates what's called an impact peak, and that's linked to injury. The runner who takes more steps,
that impact peak is completely obliterated.
And that may protect the runner. And while not everybody needs to boost the number of steps they take,
running with better technique, I think, is going to be much safer for people
and give them better longevity to do the things they want to do.
Sometimes my knee, be bothered a little bit.
Runner Christopher DePrato now takes more steps.
Feels awkward at first.
But now he's got it down and looks forward to a December marathon. His goal?
Basically to beat my wife's time is what I'm looking for in December. But, to finish and finish strong.
Without injury. Dr. Kim Mulvihill, CBS 5.
The legend, Tony Bennett, still remembers fondly. Mike Sugarman, CBS 5.
Even without realizing it, an investigator can send nonverbal cues to the eyewitness.
Specifically, the Chancellor will be presenting specific plans to both groups during the week of February 20th at meetings that are open to the public. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.